What's up, everybody? My name is Scot Mendenhall. Thank you so much for clicking the video. We currently are outside the Target building that made world news 3 weeks ago, where Minnesotans rioted over the death of, or the murder of, George Floyd. We're going to start here and make our way through the city to where George Floyd was murdered. And while we do that, I'm going to share a conversation that I had with a really good friend of mine named Roy Grant, who happens to be a black man, and I am a white man. And I asked Roy, what should I be doing? How should I be handling this? What's my response? Should I protest? Should I post every day? Should I give money? What's the response? And so we're going to share the conversation with you. Our host is that there's something out of this that you can pick out and learn. We understand not everything we're going to share over the next few moments that you are your beliefs, and we're not trying to push a set of beliefs on you. We're just sharing a conversation between two guys. Our hopes on this channel is always to be hope dealers, faith spreaders, and love givers. And this is one way of doing that, riding Onewheels through downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thanks, guys. If you like this, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Enjoy.
Thank you so much for being with us today. My name is Scot Mendenhall, and I have a great friend, Roy Grant, with me. Roy and I work together. Spent a season together. We have a lot of laughter to share. We have some tearful moments that we've had. And I've had probably the greatest privilege outside of working with him and his wife. It was, they trusted me with their kids. Oh my gosh, they are talented beyond. I mean, I just hope my kids have their talents. They are special. They are uniquely made. Kayla is who I was around the most. She can sing. She's an angel. And so I wish we had a track, Roy, to drop in here so they could hear her.
Very kind, man. Thank you.
A couple things about Roy as well. Roy loves animals. Yes. Roy actually hooked us up one year at Christmas. Do you remember this, Roy? I was like, I want to get a puppy for my kids. And I only had 2 at the time. And you're like, yeah, and you tracked it down. You got a puppy for us.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I did help with that.
You did. Unfortunately, the dog didn't make the cut after a while. Holly found out she was pregnant immediately after getting the puppy. And then it was like, she couldn't do puppy and think, 3 kids.
Right.
And so, yes. So, Roy, thank you for taking time today to hang with us.
No problem, Scott. Thank you so much for the opportunity, bro. You look good, man. You look good.
Yeah. So for those that are watching, we did have a good conversation, probably like 30 minutes before we hit record, and he goes, Scott, you don't age at all. No age. So I just needed I need to put that in there so everyone heard it here in Minnesota, Roy. Roy, tell us where you're in from.
Where I grew up?
No, where you're at right now. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Cooper City, Florida, from my home. I'm actually in my bedroom right now, so my wife might walk in a moment. Just in my room, chilling. Okay,
and so what do you do for a job?
I am a children's pastor at a church down here in South Florida called Church by the Glades. I lead their children's ministry. We have a few different campuses, and I get the opportunity to each week hanging out with some great people and pouring into kids.
Super creative church, like as I get to watch from afar. Yeah. Super creative church where you work. Thanks. And the impact that you are having is just fun to watch from where, what was it? Is it 10? It's got to be over 10 years ago, right? 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
10 years?
Yeah.
I was trying to do the math. So let me give you guys how did we get here? Last week we did a teaching about, man, if God drops a friend in your mind, you should text him, encourage him. Yeah. Literally yesterday before this recording, Roy's name popped in and I was like, yeah, man, I just need to send him a voice note. I just shouted out at him. It was like, hey, Roy, just love you, man. So fun to do ministry with you. And then he shot back at me and I shot back at him and they just kept getting longer. And then eventually he upped it to a video on YouTube. I was like, he wins. And I was like, bro, I have this idea, Roy. Would you like to sit down in a conversation and just let me fire some questions around about what's happening in the world? And your answer was what, Roy?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, yes.
Yeah. I think, so both of our hopes is that one, everybody gets in a teachable mode, that there's something for all of us to learn, myself included. I'm going to start with some questions that I only said one of my questions to Roy, and you could tell he's like, okay, we're going there. And I've given him permission to say, Scott, do you understand when you say that this is it sounds racist or any of those things? And I want to know those things. I want to learn those things. So again, publicly, Roy, we give you permission to do that. I want to learn. I want to know what to do. What's the right response? And what is Jesus saying in all of it?
I think the great part of all this, Scott, is the fact that we're friends. And that sets a great ground for everything we're going to talk about. So your questions won't be offensive to me. And I pray my answers or my questions aren't offensive to you. But with that in mind, it just creates a great atmosphere of trust. So it's good.
Yeah. Oh, man. I will not. I've never been offended by you, Roy. So I would be a beginning like, no, you're a very kind-hearted man, and your laughter is contagious.
Oh,
so Okay, so let's jump into it, because everybody else is gonna be like, what is this? Just a stop fest between two bros broing out here?
Let's do it.
So in light of the what's happening in the world where it comes to racism and things that I'm that stereotypical person that I represent, I should say, maybe, Roy, is that I'm in my 40s. Unfortunately, I have to admit that. And I'm a white male that would be considered, hey, well, you're the privileged guy. You're the problem. When I said that earlier, you kind of rocked back. Why hearing that make you rock back?
Well, I have had multiple conversations this week, over the last 2 weeks, Scott, in reference to this. And for me, it's a very, very weird spot for me to be in. And here's why. I actually posted a video last week, and in my video, somewhere in there, I said the phrase, I've been hearing all these things, and I've been getting these different conversation pieces from different people, and I started to feel like, well, maybe I'm not Black enough. And I would look at, the people that I did life with. Yes, I do life with Blacks. Yes, I do life with whites. Yes, I do life with Asians. I have such a melting pot of friends that it's very, very weird for me to sit down and look at an environment that I'm in and expect it to be all one particular color, whether it's just Black or white, etc. So again, for me, those questions always spark a little bit of, oh, wait a minute, that's where we're going. I mean, and I'm married to a girl that's not like me, you know what I'm saying? So it's always one of those, okay, let's go there. Here we have.
Yeah.
I'm still a Black man, so.
Yes. But it's interesting to hear you say, am I not Black enough? Because as a white guy, I'm saying, oh man, am I not doing the right things? Have I not, do I need to prove that I'm not racist? So I feel similar to, like, you're saying, am I not Black? I'm going, what do I need to do to prove that I'm not? Or, so how would you help someone in my position going, okay, do I need to prove this? Like, somebody honestly lit me up because of a platform I have on social media. Why have I not posted something that says one way or the other? I'm just kind of not. So am I not posting, saying something? Do I need to does that mean I am racist if I don't post something?
Scott, I think it boils down to it's heart and mind. It's two different issues. So what I mean by that is, if you're going to post something just to make somebody else feel a certain way about you, then I just don't post. That's just ridiculous. If something that someone says or something that you feel, I don't want to use feelings, something that you think of and makes you go, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me, then I'm going to respond in a manner, not proving anything, but supporting at a level that says, hey, I agree with this, I understand it. But that gets weird because a lot of people, like yourself, will say to me, well, that's where I'm coming from. I don't get it because I don't understand it, So what do I do?
Yeah. So what do I do, Roy? And I'm not looking for you to tell me you Scott post something and don't. But what I think I'm hearing you is, if you feel a strong conviction on it, then post, but not to please someone.
Right.
That, hey, no, I am. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think when it all first started, that even sounds weird to say, because as you get into these conversations, you hear things like, "Well, man, we've been dealing with this for 400 years. So what do you mean when it first started?" But over these last few weeks and few months, as things began to unfold at this level, I realized more and more that I started getting hurt more. At the first, when I'd say 2 months ago, when different things were going on, something would happen, and because I'm 48 years old, I'm almost 50. I've seen a lot. I still have a wife to take care of, my daughters to take care of. Life has to go on, and I hear something back then. It made me go, okay, I feel that. I'll have my moment of crying. I feel the pain, but then I have to go, okay, but tomorrow when I get up, I got to be able to move on with my life. I got to move forward. And so it wouldn't affect me for days and days and days. Now, over the last 2 weeks, more and more affects me at a level of, I see it more now. I feel the pain more now. My Black brothers and sisters that are speaking out at a higher level than I am, I feel their pain so much more now than I've ever felt in my life, because I'm in it. I'm in the mix, and I'm not one of those guys that just blames everything on media. This is media.
Yeah.
I think that because I see it and hear it so much more now, it affects me. And so opportunities like this to talk about it's good for me too.
Yeah, I think that's, I was thinking about this the other day, is that what we've arrived to in culture right now is like where two circles overlap, right? And there's this like area that two circles, and that's where we're at. We're in this tension. And people are like, well, how do I talk to someone that is Black if I'm white? Do I have to say hello to, what do I need? And so there's this, I don't know what to do, right? Like, and I have felt that. It's like, man, I've always said hello to everyone. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh man, do I go out of my way? And so
right.
Like, it's this tension, right? And I think that what we got to be careful with is we need to stay in the tension to fix what's going on and not avoid the tension.
Yeah. Well, I was speaking to someone, very influential leader about a week ago, and he said something that was really powerful to me. He said when he was growing up and he was in his 20s and things were happening back then, this was about 7 years before I was born. When things were happening back then at a level of people fighting for racial equality, he didn't go out and march back then. He didn't go out and want to be involved back then, not because of an issue of him being prejudiced. He was simply following the status quo at that time. This is my lane. This is where I need to be. I'm gonna stay in this lane. 40 something years later, he sees it now, and he's actually one of the ones that's out there speaking now, speaking louder, and fighting at a level of trying to make sure that there is equality. And some of that does have to do with guilt from not doing it back in the day, but also some of it now is it's learning over the last 40, 50 years of his life that, man, I see it more now. And because I see it and because it's now so prominent and people are talking about it, well, his whisper, and this is not my line, so I can't take credit for it, but his whisper is going to be so much more important or so much more louder than my yelling. And so because he's whispering things and saying things, people are listening to him as compared to someone that's going to be really, really angry and yelling things out. And he's white. So.
Okay. So on that, like, I've not gone, like Minneapolis, right? This is where it has begun in the last 2 weeks, right? I got that tension you're saying. I've heard where people have said, but it has been going on forever. It hasn't just started. Right. It's just resurfaced.
Right.
I've not gone down to protest. I haven't marched with anybody. Does that, when I say that to you, do you go, why not? Do you go, well, Scott, that's what you should be doing? How do you, like, we're friends. Am I communicating something to you that because I didn't go down and protest yet, am I saying something to you by not doing that?
I think you have to use wisdom in everything that you do. So I can see that in one of two ways, Scott. If you have the capacity to go down and be there, okay? And you can, and you don't feel like you're going to be, because it can be violent, you know what I'm saying? You got to protect, you have a lot to lose, whether it's your wife, whether it's your kids. I don't expect you to go down there with your family. That's ridiculous, okay? I'm black, and I'm not going down there with my family. You know what I'm saying? I'm not bringing my kids into a situation that could potentially break out into something, somebody's shooting or someone's throwing something, tear gas. I'm not going to get involved with that. But I think you got to wrestle with that. I can't tell you to do that. And it doesn't offend me either way, whether you go or not. But I think that's something you should probably wrestle with, because I think even as a leader in your sphere of influence, I think it would say something to people if they did see you there. But it doesn't say anything to me whether you do or not, based on the fact that I know you, though. So I don't know if that answers your question. I know you. I know your heart. So if you are not down there at the protest, I'm going to assume that there's a reason why. I'm not going to say it's because Scott's prejudiced. That's why he's not going down there. I'm just saying there's a reason why, and there's a logical reason why. So.
But then it goes back to the first question of, like, do I post, right? So all of a sudden I could go down there and no one would know, right, unless I post it, right? Then it's okay, I'm posting this, but what's the reason I'm posting it? Is it so people will know, oh, he is down there. Oh, I see what he's doing.
Why would you post it, or why would you not? Why would you post it? Would you post it for me, or would you post it for you?
Well, no, I think that's the great debate in all of it is, right? Is like, I've posted some things on the like what was it, last Tuesday on Instagram? It was just all blackout, right? I posted that, and I didn't post anything all day. That's the only thing I've really posted inside social media of, like, hey, no, I'm behind this. And I think if I went down there and again, I'm being very candid here in the conversation, right? And I know people are watching this, and I hope they're wrestling with it as well. For me, if I go down there, I wouldn't want to post it because it's not watch what I do, right? It's not. See, I'm not racist, or see, I care. It's like, I want to go down there and do it because that's my conviction, and I'm not doing that action to say everybody else has got to follow. Right. Is that a right thought on it?
I think that's fine, man. The Word of God talks about, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so if your heart is going to be filled with resentment, rage, animosity, bigotry, whatever, you're going to speak about that in some way, or it's going to come out in you in some way or another. I didn't look at your social media to like gauge this conversation. You said you posted on the Tuesday. That speaks volumes. If you didn't post, again, I would.
Does that speak volumes again? If I didn't post that, does that speak volumes?
So let me answer this way. To the mass majority, yes, it would matter. And I don't want to say to them and not me, because I'm them, you know what I'm saying? But it would speak volumes only because there's a sensitivity right now, and people are wondering, well, is he for me or is he against me? It's hard. It's hard, Scott. It's so hard because these are my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're my friend, my other boys that I've had these conversations with. Bro, I don't know what to post. Do I just repost you? Like last night I posted something, and it's a picture I posted of myself, and then it's a long thing about, standing up for black men, making sure that we don't point fingers, blah, blah, blah. But in that post, rather than just tagging all black men, I tagged a bunch of different men from a bunch of different cultures and told them this is what I was doing because you're my brothers. A few of them actually reposted. I was shocked. I didn't think they were going to do it. I just figured they were going to be like, that's cool, Roy. But a few of them reposted and wrote on the repost, I am not a black man, but I'm standing for blah, blah, blah. And I just thought it was real creative how that was done. But he has to feel comfortable enough in his own skin to be able to do that and secure. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel a tension that was never there for lots of people all of a sudden, right? It's like if I post, if I don't, and then if I post and I say it wrong, then all of a sudden someone beats me up for saying it wrong. So then you just become paralyzed in the whole conversation.
You gotta check
like, I don't know what. Yeah, everything. Like it's just like. But I don't want to do, like, again, personally, I don't want to do something that would communicate to you, Roy, and for Kayla and for heaps of other black friends that I have that I know. And to be honest with you, I'm so grateful that I had time in South Florida because growing up in Central Illinois, I didn't even come in contact with very many black people. It was just, I was in the little cornfields. And so I'm so glad that God brought me to Miami area because that's where, when I looked through my phone, it's like all those relationships with diversity happened in South Florida. So I'm super grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that even in my leadership stuff that I've learned and gone through, your DNA is stamped in my leadership because of things that I learned watching you, or you taught me in that I didn't handle the right way. There was a couple times that you and I had a couple run-ins and I had to apologize and you called me out on it. And I'm so grateful for those moments because, again, it's scripture says iron sharpens iron, so does one man to another, right? It doesn't say as long as the person's older than you, or they make more money, or they are the same race as you. It's.
Well, my father has always taught me to have that mindset of always thinking about the Timothy. And, it didn't matter that you were younger than me, but if God had placed you in my life and said that you were my leader at that moment, then I was going to follow my leader. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'll never forget that time at camp where my wife and I, we blew it. It was the first night of camp, bro. We blew it. I was like, I'm about to get fired. I was done. I was weeping. And because you were such, Scott Mendenhall, Scott's hard, so don't piss Scott off. Okay. I just kept thinking, oh shoot, I know what we just did. We're about to go get the wrath. And you pulled us into this room and, I'm a mush, so hopefully I don't start crying in this daggone video. But you were so kind. You were so kind. You were firm, but you were so kind and loving and gave us direction on how to make it better the next day. And then you left it to us. It wasn't like, I'm going to give you direction, then I'm going to sit by you and do baby steps and micromanage you. It was like, here's what I'm telling you, man. I'm going to give you the direction. Go do it. And then you trusted us to go do it. And I'll never forget that, man. Never.
But that same way, it's both ways, because you guys could have been, I'm out, I quit, right? That's an option for you, and then left it in my hands to do. I'm glad you did it. But so it goes both ways. I think at the end of the day, I think the quality that we both share, Roy, is the filter we always have is, what does love require us to do? Right? That's the filter. So what does love require me to do as a leader in the time in your life was, okay, I got to lead them in a direction. I've got to be firm, but not crush. And then what does love require you to do is to go, this surfer dude that's younger than me, I've got to humble myself and let him speak into my life. And I do think that's some of the tension that we have, is like, people don't want to be teachable these days. They don't want to humble themselves. And that's not a black and white thing. That's a human race thing. And so it's almost in this topic, well, if you don't agree with me 100%, we can't be friends.
Oh yeah, that's what it's boiled down to these days. And it's really sad because, if you look into the book of Corinthians, it talks about how you must be slow to speak. No, I'm sorry. First, quick to listen. Listen first. Quick to listen. And what's happening right now is black people, we're saying, we've been quick to listen for a long time. Now we want you guys to listen. We've been listening. We've been told this is how it is. This is blah, blah, blah. We've listened to it. Now we just want you guys to listen to us. And then it moves further, those three lines, quick to listen, slow to speak. Well, we've been slow to speak for a long time. We're tired of being slow to speak. It comes to a point where we want to speak, and now we're speaking, but the speaking has turned into some riots here and there. The speaking has turned into some moments where there's, some hazardous things happening. And so you look at that and we're trying to find, well, what's the balance? And there is none right now, because we close out with be slow to anger. We've been slow to anger for 400 years. That's the mindset. I'm laughing, but we've been slow to anger. So now we're like, some of us have righteous anger. Like I have righteous anger. There's times I have righteous anger. It's not always gonna be righteous anger because I'm not perfect. But I think as Black people, we want to know that our white friends, our Spanish friends, our Asian, we want to know that everyone else has the same righteous anger and wants to fight with us at a level of, man, this is not fair. We get it. But some people just don't get it. And I can only speak for me, because there'll be Black people that look at me and go, well, how do you not? I have a sympathy and an understanding for the fact that there are going to be people, just say white people because that's how we're talking right now, and there are going to be white people or any other person that's not Black that don't get it. And it's not because they're living under a bubble, but I think literally because there are people that just treat everybody with love. And I'm not going to say because they're colorblind. I think I said this yesterday. There's no such thing as colorblind to me. I mean, you're white, I'm Black. There's color. Right. I know I can count 3 friends right now, just because they're on my mind, that I guarantee the way they grew up, just from the way they live, from the way they've spoken to me, from the way we've interacted, this is so shocking to them. It's a stupid thing to say. What do you mean it's shocking? You don't see it? But they're shocked. They have no clue that this is actually going on until you start seeing the one death, the second death, the third death, the fourth death. You look back, and it compiles. Then you have this big bunch of mess that you're finally going, oh crap. I never ever looked at this because it wasn't for me. I didn't have to look at it. You know what I'm saying? And I hope I got stuff popping out of my head left and right. So I spoke to a buddy of mine last week, and he said to me, well, man, it's like when I get pulled over, I'm just thinking, how much I got to pay for this stupid ticket? That's what he said. He says, I'm not thinking anything. I pull over. Sometimes if I get pulled over, I put my window down, I'm upset. I'm like, what's up, man? He's mad. I said, bro, when I get pulled over, I'm not upset. My windows go down. Before he even gets out of his car, my windows go down. I turn all my lights on in the car. I put my windows up so they can see inside my car. I take my hands, I put it right here on my door so they see my hands, because this is what I've experienced, this is what I've lived with. And he starts crying in front of me, and he's like, you gotta be joking. I said, no, bro, this is my life. This is my life. I've been pulled over before at gunpoint for doing nothing at all. Not because I'm perfect, but simply because I was driving a very, very nice car. I rented it. When I got off the highway, a bunch of cars pulled me over. Cops had their guns out. They're aiming at me, telling me to get out my car. I had Kayla as a child, as a baby in my back seat. I rented a car for the weekend. I got out and I'm yelling, guys, there's a baby in the car. Please don't shoot. I don't know what I did wrong. Long story short, half an hour later, as she's crying in the car, I find out that this company, I won't say the company's name, the company that I rented the car from reported that vehicle stolen weeks ago. They got it back, but never took it out of the system as being stolen. So there's no tints on the window. I'm just this Black guy dressed nicely, driving a car. These 5 white cops pull me over, and you would think that would like taint me for life. Scott, it hasn't. It hasn't, and it's all because of Jesus' love for me. Because without that, I'd just be this hateful person. I can tell you stories. About the episodes in my life that should have designed me to be a hateful person, but I can't be that way, man. It's not me. I'm gonna love people. I'm more cautious these days because of what I see. I am a legally armed person at all times. that's my life. I have my license and I carry. Why do I carry? Why? So I go shoot white people? No, I carry to protect my family at all costs, depending on, I don't care who it is. So.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad. It's funny, you apologized a second ago for going off, but man, quick to listen, slow to speak. I'll let you speak all day and I'll listen, man. I just picked up so much there. Like, just to hear that story and you put Kayla in there, who that just breaks my heart, right? It's like, no, like you've never shared that story with me. That's the first time I've heard that. And it does make me angry inside, because no one should be treated like that. I don't care the color of your skin. No, that's not how you treat people. It isn't. It doesn't matter, right? Jesus created everybody in his image. But that leads me to the next deal, because we've heard a lot of news where, why is it Black Lives Matter? It's all people matter. And yeah, I get that. But we talked on this yesterday. So I want you to say what you said to me, because I thought it was so profound, on why is it right now Black Lives Matter?
I think it's two different reasons, Scott. And I have to, you and I have always been taught, especially, just in leadership, always go back to God's word, see what it says, and then also compare it to the different things in your life to make it relatable to you. And so one of the things that I look at first is, the sheep, the 99 sheep. And we're all hanging out, we're good, but that one goes missing. But what did Jesus say he did? He went after the one. And you could imagine the other sheep going, yo, what about me? Aren't I important? I'm right here, what's up? But that's not the one that's in trouble. So as Christians, we get this opportunity to live out that scripture right now. Anyone that's not Black, because the Black race, there's a hurt that's going on. They're in trouble. They're caught in that thorn bush, and we want people to come alongside and help us. We talked yesterday about your kids. If one of your kids was heaven forbid, choking on something, you're going to stop what you're doing, and you're going to try to rescue that kid, and you're going to do everything in your power. And if your wife came up to you out of nowhere and goes, hey, Scott, don't you care about the rest of our kids? They're right here. They need you right now. Honey, but he's choking. I gotta. And I think after I said that to you yesterday, something came into my mind. I started thinking, imagine you're trying to rescue your kid, and your back is to your wife. This is just a silly hypothetical situation, but I'm trying to make it make sense here. Your back's to your wife. She doesn't see your kid. She doesn't see what you're doing with your kid. I think right now, you're right there. You're trying to rescue your kid. You're trying to do something, whether it's whatever, you're trying to rescue your kid. She sees your back. All she sees is your kid's leg. She thinks you're playing with your kid. And I think right now, and I look at a lot of things that's happening now, there are a lot of people that are only looking at our backs. They haven't seen the need. They haven't seen what's happened. They haven't seen what we're fighting for until they look behind, look over the shoulder, or look around the curtain and go, oh crap, this has been going on all this time. This is what it is. Now I'm starting to feel the pain. So I think thanks to the word of God for making it clear what we're supposed to do, but also if we look at it in our own families, I think I think it makes it make more sense as to what we have to do as a nation right now.
Yeah, okay, so in light of that, as we start to turn to the end of this, okay, my question would be, what should we do? Okay, Unlock Church in Maple Grove, Minnesota. I mean, Maple Grove, Minnesota sounds like the whitest suburb ever, right? Like, let's just call it out. Yeah. So what should we do? Should we go and make, like, I've heard somebody say white people should just go and make a lot of Black friends. Is that the right response?
No.
Is that what we do? Do we meet at Starbucks and then go down and so looking for some wisdom from you, Roy, from us who we're less than 10 miles away from where George was murdered. Okay, we're close. I mean, I can put the drone up and see the smoke rising from the city. I mean, we're close. A couple weeks ago, the riots came to Maple Grove, and we boarded all of our Walmarts, Targets up. and we had to be in our homes by 7 o'clock. Like, they shut down everything because they were coming to. And when I say they, it's not black people. This is whoever was rioting, right? It was a group. Yeah, I want to make sure I say that. They were coming to Maple Grove to burn it down.
So, Scott, even with what you just said, and maybe it's just because I know you, I don't know. So I could be wrong, and there are probably going to be people that look at this and go, yeah, but no, you were wrong. You didn't have to disclaimer that to me just now, because I knew you didn't mean all black people. You know what I'm saying? I knew you didn't mean that. But there are going to be people that don't know you, that hear a comment like that and think to themselves, what do you mean you people? Or what do you mean those people? Was it all black people? So you're caught in a really, really tough spot, which is why you're asking this question, of course. I got to go back to God's word, okay?
Yeah.
And this is what I've been trying, man. Scott, why am I such a mush? It's because I have daughters, right? I go back to God's word. God's word says that, faith, hope, and love are the three things that remain, right? And so, as Christ followers, we're relying on our faith, strong faith, that things are going to get better, which leads us to this hope. The hope that, that we're going to have a light at the end of this tunnel. But if love is supposed to be the greatest of all three of those, then, and please hear my heart when I say this, a question like, what should I do, becomes obsolete, because love will push you to do anything that you have to do. And listen, that doesn't mean get out and write picket signs. That doesn't mean, I don't know what that means, but love will make you experience and feel the pain that I'm feeling and respond in a manner, not to prove anything to me, but to simply help move the ball down the court. And I wish I could write a book and put bullet points. Well, you should try doing this and try doing this. I think that'd just be stupid. It's going to be different for each person. What you're doing right now, Scott, you're moving the ball down the court. What do I mean by that? I'm on here with you. You're asking me these questions. You're coming out and you're asking me questions, and the love that you have, whether it's for me or just people in general, it's coming through. I see it. So whether you're trying to prove anything to me or not makes no difference. You're actually doing it. You're living it right now. You're going to put this on your social media. People are going to hear it, and you've already done everything that I think you need to do right now as a person that has the influence that you have in your community. So you're doing it. But you have to wrestle with that and go, do I feel like I'm not doing enough? Or is this where I need to be right now? And no one can tell you different. A black person can't tell you different. A white person can't tell you different. You have to wrestle with that, and you have to gauge everything. You have to gauge your wife. You have to gauge your kid, your household, your ministry. You got to gauge all of that. And then I think through that lens, something that you taught me, what's on your dashboard? What are you looking at? I think as you look and see what's on that dashboard of your life right now, you'll be able to gauge what your next steps are going to be. I might have just opened up a new teaching for you so you can teach that dashboard teaching. It's awesome.
Yeah, I have not taught that here. No, that's the. Thank you, Roy. That's a good one. I might delete that part so that I can. No.
It's good.
No, I think I think Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers. He said it the other day. He's like, all of a sudden, my 30-some years of living is not enough to prove that I stand for equality and I love black people and stuff. I have to do something today to validate what I have already done. And I think that's the tension I feel is that not everybody, it's been 10 years. So you haven't been here for 10 years. You know me from there. Other people don't know me from Miami. And it's like, how do you bring it all together and make sure that everyone, it's not, I don't want my black friends to feel, it's like everyone knows where I sit, and that they understand I sit where God created everyone in their image. And why do Black Lives Matter right now? Because they're the ones hurting.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are being murdered and taken advantage of. And stories like what you just shared, Roy, break my heart. That cannot happen. And I'm like, what do I need to do? How do I stop it? I almost feel like if I just do one more thing, I could be the guy that stops everything. And that's the weight I carry on it. And I know that's not true, but it's like, so that's the heart of this conversation. And I hope that those that listen to this conversation between us, Roy, that they're not looking at it as, we get a good insight on what Scott's thinking. I want them to go and personalize it for themselves. Like, oh, should I post? Should I be down there walking with people? Should I be, whatever those things are, should they be befriending people that look different than them? Should they look out and go, man, I don't have a friend that looks different than me? Then maybe God's saying, hey, it's time to be diverse.
Yeah.
And so I think from you, I picked up so much, but I think the thing that jumped out at me, a lot of this is we got to be teachable, and we got to allow God to convict us on this topic. And it can't be because my friend Sally said, well, why haven't you posted like 6 pictures or this saying or this hashtag? It's got to be because God said, hey, I'm convicting you on this topic. You haven't said enough, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Conviction, man. You know, if it's not part of your conviction, it's not going to mean anything after a while. You know, it's going to be like the house built on sand. You know what I'm saying? But if that foundation is solid and the conviction rocks your heart to feel the same pain that I feel, it changes everything, Scott. It does. And even just now, I watched your face while I was sharing that story about Kayla and myself. Not a lot of people know that story. I shared it recently for the first time in a long time, but I had to deal with that in me for a while. And I watched your face, and I can see that it hurt. Spend time listening to people, man. I think you're doing that right now. Just seek advice, listen to people, hear these stories so that it does affect your heart. And I think God's going to bless that.
Well, Roy, I thank you for your time. I hope that those that are watching on social media or wherever it gets plastered, that we say something that doesn't make them want to fight against our words, but that they would be convicted to change and see it just a little bit different. Because it's not, neither one of us were picking a side. This wasn't a boxing match. These are two guys that love Jesus wholeheartedly, love their family, and love life. Amen. I mean, I think that's one of those other things about you, Roy, is that you love life just like me. You want to live it to the fullest. You want to laugh hard, cry hard, and love a lot.
Definitely true, man. Definitely true.
And so I think you have the crying down more than I do, to be honest. I think you have that done a lot better than me.
Scott?
How many what?
How many sons do you have now?
Yeah, 6. 6 boys, 2 girls.
The crying's coming in the future, bro. The crying's coming later.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, well said, Roy. Well, Roy, let me pray for you really quick before we sign off. And those that are watching at Unlock Church, we will pray and then we will come back to you. So don't go anywhere. Let's pray really quick, Roy. God, I ask that you do something with this conversation between Roy and I. I prayed it before for him, but I prayed again protection in his car. Oh man, God, it breaks my heart that there are my friends that are being treated like that, and strangers I've never met, but they are your children that are being treated by other kids of yours. God, may you give us wisdom on how to put an end to this. Give us wisdom as Unlock Church and wisdom as people in the world, how to put an end to racism, put an end to racism personally, and that this conversation would convict us in making a change and knowing what the next step is. And I ask that you continue to show up and show off through the hands of Roy and Sheila as they are finishing raising their family and they lead children's ministry, that you would use them to lead the next generation towards you, Jesus. I thank you that years ago you brought our paths across each other for such a time as this. And we thought it was for what happened years ago. Look at what you're doing today through that relationship. Jesus, I love you. I love Roy and Sheila and his entire family and all his herds of animals he has. Jesus, we love you in your name. Amen.
Sugar glider. Sugar glider.
Sugar glider. Yes. Yes. For those that are like, why is he screaming sugar glider after a prayer? That is not an inside joke. When we worked together, he had a flying squirrel, but they're also sugar gliders. And he would show videos in the office. Hey, this is what the sugar glider did. It was the coolest thing ever. I need to get one of those. But because I do, but Roy, don't package me one. Roy, every time I say I need an animal, Roy, like gets one and sends it to me. I got 8 kids. I don't need a sugar glider right now.
Done. Thanks for the opportunity, Pastor Scott. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Roy, for taking time out. I appreciate it.